the one thing Luke is, he's a very smart rugby player. He understands the game extremely well. He knows how we want to play. And also I think he's stated himself that he's very proud to be asked to captain Gloucester, and that's an important part for any leader of men, and I think he capably can do that. He improved last season, I think, as a captain, and he understood what responsibilities come with not just being a captain, but a captain of a Gloucester team from other captains in the past that are really embedded in the culture and the club and the city. And I think Luke is someone that's shown the interest to be that kind of person and follow on from others in the past.
As with everyone else, though, he comes under the same selection criteria, doesn't he? In that he doesn't just walk into the team because he's the skipper and he's fit.
Not at all, and it doesn't necessarily walk in that he would captain the side. Peter Buxton's done a great job, and I would never, just throw out there that he's got to have to be captain because he's available for this weekend. I think the important part is that it's a concentration on his own game and where he plays and what he does in the team and how he affects the game itself, not necessarily how he affects decisions of the game. But yeah, I mean it's important that he's out there, and it's important that we get as many good players playing. But also, respect the ones that have played over the last 6 weeks, because some of them have done a very good job.
Must be a boost to have him ready, though. Potentially slightly ahead of what you might have expected.
No, I mean I think it was always going to be around this 5th and 6th game in the Premiership, and credit to him, he's worked really hard to come back from that operation, and I think it's important that we don't force him, but that's why he's trained for 2 weeks. But you can tell in training that he's a very good rugby player. You can't hide that, and he'll be desperate to get back playing. And if it's right, we'll involve him. If it's not, he'll wait his turn. But good players generally want to play, and I'd love to see him put his hand up and play.
Off the back of last week, then, is there a need to? You spoke slightly about it in the weekend, of balancing out forward play with back play. If you can build in slightly more focused attack, will that be an asset?
Not necessarily. It wasn't done through deliberate choice last weekend. It was more of we had 2 lineouts, and we unfortunately knocked them both on just in that first half, which enabled us no field position, and you just suddenly have 2 lineouts that after phase 3 we've knocked the ball on, and that's somewhere where we just didn't get a threshold in the game. Second half we were far better at retaining possession, which enabled us a chance to kick on the front foot as well, whereas Timmy was asked to kick a lot under pressure in the first half, and I think that's something that we hopefully can address in the game, and what options we use and how we integrate the team element in that to allow us to attack if it's on, not necessarily always to kick. You must have the option of the balance, and I think last weekend we hung in there, there's no question, in the first 20 minutes. We had 70 odd tackles in the first 20 minutes, and that's gone sometimes where teams are only making 70 in a game. We made 70 odd in 20 minutes, and credit to the players, only gave 2 penalties away in that time. So on a whole, I think we worked very hard, and that's why we gained confidence from half time.
In terms of moving forward, then, you talked about a 65% start so far in the 4 games. How would that be were it to be 2 extra wins, if possible?
Well, I think, as I say, that the little basic things that now we should be aware of to be an attacking option as much as an outcome option. We must have the balance of both, and it doesn't mean that you throw all caution to the wind and play a game that's free and flowing, because that doesn't give clarity either. So we haven't hit the balance yet, and I think we're getting closer to it, and I think when we do, we'll be more of a handful for any defensive side, which just takes up that 5-10%. A little bit of ball control. We gave 5 penalties away in the last 20 minutes. That's unacceptable for me, because we defended well in the first half with real discipline, and then we go and we concede 60 tackles in the last 20. So the first 20 and the last 20 of the game was really important to us. If you're going to seal a game off, you can't be given 5 penalties and then having to defend again against a team that will punish you. And Irish showed last weekend, you turn over, you knock on, they're capable of punishing you, and you must be aware of that.
And on the England-Scotland front, like you say, mixed loyalties potentially, but at the end of the day, you sent these guys off to the World Cup with your blessing, so you're not sat there wishing that they're home in a week, are you, ultimately?
No,
you
it's not. Of course, I'd love Scotland to be staying an extra couple of weeks, and I'd love it for Mike too. But ultimately, I'm not too bothered. They've gone to the World Cup. It's a wonderful event to be involved in. I was very fortunate to have 3 World Cups, and captain on my last one, so I was probably one of the fortunate ones. But I think on a whole, you should enjoy every experience, get as far as you can, and love being involved in World Cups. That's what you play international rugby for. You don't play it just to pick up the Six Nations. World Cups because they're so every 4 years. They're rare for some players. And, I wish all the four of them a huge effort, and which one comes back. I'll worry about that on Sunday morning, not necessarily Saturday morning.